Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Ainun Luthfiyah Rohmah. I'm from Department of English Education, State Islamic University of Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta. So, in this video, I would like to present my article summary or article compilation from 10 articles that I have read during this semester. Okay. So, 10 articles that I have read is about school environment, about teacher and student relationship, about family, about adolescents, and also about music. Let's begin to the first article. The title is What Characterises a Good Family? Giving Voice to Adolescents. It's written by Agneta Tinnfalt, Jennie Jensen, and Charli Eriksson. So, this article is about perceptions and viewpoints of Swedish adolescents on what mother and fathers should be like and how they want their family to be. And the purpose of this article is to give voice to adolescents' perceptions of how parents and family should be. So, as you can see here, there are two findings of this article. The first is adolescents see the family as a unit and think that all members of the family have a common responsibility. And the second is adolescents had a lot of views on how they wanted a parent to be. Okay, next, the teacher-student relationship and adolescents' sense of school belonging. It's written by Ibrahim and Wafaa Zaatari. It's about the relationship between teacher and student and the school and adolescent sense of school belonging. And the purpose of this article is to explore the nature of teacher-student relationship in the school microsystem and its impact on student sense of school belonging. There are 4 findings of this article. The first is teachers and students presented different views of the communication that happens in the classroom. The second is teachers try to reinforce and support students. The third is disagreement topic between teachers and students was enforcing discipline and punishment. And the last is friends at school boost students' feeling of belonging. Okay, next is relevant classroom events for teachers, a study of student characteristics, student behaviors, and associated teachers' emotions. It's written by Janneke A, Ruiter, Astrid M.G. Poorthuis, and Helma M.Y. Cohen. So sorry for the pronunciation. So this article is about student characteristics, student behaviors, and associated teacher emotions in relevant classroom events. And this article is written to identify the characteristics of the students, to classify the behaviors of the students during the events, and to investigate whether the presence or absence of certain student behaviors. So, there's only one finding of this article is about the students involved in the relevant events were mostly of male gender and had relatively high levels of externalizing antisocial behavioral attributes are well aligned with previous research. Next to the article, the title is Approximation in English Language Arts, Scaffolding a Shared Teaching Practice by Kristine M, Schutz, Kathy A. Danielson, and Julie Cohen. So this article, of course, about approximations in English language arts, and the aim of this article is to expand the repertoire of approximations of practice and highlight the critical importance of the teacher educators in facilitating candidate learning during approximations of practice. So, There are 5 findings. The first is there are 3 approximations of practice. The second is to facilitate TEs must supply novices with a specific component of practice to approximate. The third is teacher educators used multiple forms of representations as tools to provide candidates with common images of teaching practice. The fourth is teacher educators provided candidates with TE-credited planning templates in preparation for approximations. And the last is teacher educators prescribed or held some combination of the instructional text and goals across the 3 approximations. Okay, the next article is the role of class level, composition, and school contextual characteristics for school-age children's life satisfaction. The author of this article is Katharina Rathmann, Herke, and Matthias Richter. So this article is about the role of composition at class level and school level contextual characteristics for students' life satisfaction, and about to what extent can the variance in students' life satisfaction be explained by individual class and school level features. The aim of this study is to examine the role of individual, class level, composition, and school level contextual features on school-age children's life satisfaction. And there are 3 findings of this article. The first is individual level indicators, compositional and contextual characteristics have a much lower impact on students' life satisfaction. And the second is the students who are placed in classes with higher level of ambitious classmates revealed higher life satisfaction. And the third is at the school level, only a higher level of school infrastructure was related to lower satisfaction. Okay, the next article is School-Based Teacher Collaboration, Different Learning Opportunities Across Various Objects. It's written by Lois de Jong, Jacobin Mary, and Wilfried Admiral. So this about teacher collaboration, and the purpose of this study is to understand collaboration in teacher groups given their teacher characteristics and school context. So there are 4 findings of this article. The first is both more and less intensive forms of collaboration can have learning potential for teachers depending on participating teachers' needs and school context. The second is teacher school context is consequential for the type of collaborative activities that teachers engage in. The third is the main limitation of this study is the use of pre and post measures only, and the last findings is practical implications. Okay, next about adolescents, girls, and leadership: the impact of confidence, competition, and failure by Nicole Archard. So the general idea of this article is the girl's perspective, the impact of the concept. The concept in this term is there are confidence, competition, and failure, and gender differences. So the purpose of this article is to know the impact of confidence, competition, and failure for adolescent girls and leadership. And there are 3 findings of this article. The first is the relationship between girls and confidence. The second is the impact of the competition for girls. And the third is opinion on the relationship between girls and failure. The next article is Young People's Expectations, Preference, and Actual Experience of Youth Mental Health Care. It's written by Claire Wexford and Deborah Rickwood. Okay, so this article is about the process of young people of seeking professional help at the youth mental health care service, and this article is to explore young people expect, want, and experience at a therapy at the youth mental health care service. So there are four major findings of this article. The first is the male participants and the 12 to 18 years old have higher expectations of the counselor's level of expertise, and for the 19 and 75-year-olds have higher preference for their outcomes. The second finding is young people rated preference for therapy very highly and have strong positive hopes for all aspects of therapy. And the third findings is young people's expectations of therapy are realistic, and the expectations, preference, and experience were interrelated. And the last is preference of therapy are most optimistic than initial expectations. Okay, next to the ninth article, it's about youth hedonistic behavior, moderating role of peer attachment on the effect of religiosity and worldview. There are many authors of this article. There are Siti Raba'ah Hamzah, Turiman Swandi, Stephen Eddie Krause, Azimi Hamzah, and Esar Tamam. So this article is about the moderating effect of peer attachment on the relationships between religiosity and worldview, and on how hedonistic behavior among Malaysia undergraduate students is shaped by such influences. Because this article is for Malaysia undergraduate students, so the purpose of this article is to determine the moderating effect of peer attachment on the hedonistic behavior of Malaysians undergraduate students. So there are three findings of this article. The first is a person's worldview will have an influence on the development of his or her hedonistic behavior. The second is peer attachment plays a role in moderating the overall relationship between worldview and religiosity and hedonistic behavior of a young person. And the last finding is provide a basis for parents and other actors in young people's social ecologies to recognize peers as an important factor contributing to the formation of youth behavior and personality development. And the last article is about the role of music in adolescent development, much more than the same old song by Dave Miranda. So this article is about the developmental importance of music in adolescents, and the purpose of this article is to inform on current knowledge of how music listening can play a role in psychosocial development of adolescents. So there are three important points or three findings of this article. Is first, music is important for the developmental of many adolescents. 2. Music can represent a protective and a risk factor for psychosocial development. And last finding is music can represent an adjunct component in prevention and intervention. So finally, that's all my presentation of article summary. So thank you for watching, and last I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye.